I'm Brody Folk.
I'm Patrick Sullivan.
And this is the Pirate Podcast. Today we'll be talking to Coach Reggie Burress, who's been at Platte County for 25 years, even though this is his 9th year as the head wrestling coach. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be on the podcast with you.
Great. So, first off, the girls, we got to you a little bit later than we'd like, but the girls competed last weekend in districts. And you had Kaylin Munn, Audrey Call, and Elizabeth Humberg move on. How have those three contributed to the program throughout their careers, and what have they meant to the younger girls and allowed you to build your girls program?
So obviously Kaylin Munn is our only girls wrestler for 4 years total, so obviously she's been here from the beginning and still here. Elizabeth, this is her 3rd year, and Audrey her 2nd year. The thing about those three is they come to work hard every day. They're very coachable, and they're good at helping out the younger girls. Like last year, Elizabeth really brought Audrey along, and now, Audrey's made big leaps and bounds too with those other two.
So obviously it's been a struggle, building a girls program. What have you seen, from the younger, more like inexperienced girls, how they have come up through the years?
So I think the biggest thing is that when they first get to high school, they don't know anything else about wrestling, so they don't have any other bad habits or anything. So in some ways, sometimes it's easier to coach them because it takes a little longer to get to where you want them to be, but they don't have a lot of bad habits that you're working with. And they're really good about listening to the older girls and kind of using them as a model and going from there. Like this year, we had a lot of new girls, and I think they got better throughout the year, and they started to enjoy it more and understand the sport a lot more.
So that actually kind of leads us into our next question. How many total girls did you have this year, and what's your kind of goal to have next year to continue to build? So
13 was our goal, was our number this year, which is 7 more than we've had in the past. So that was a really good number. 3 of those are graduating, so 4 of them are actually graduating. So we'll have at least a base of girls back. I would like to get close to 20 girls out next year. And I think that if more girls would just give it a chance, that they would see that they could do really well and get to where they want to be quickly.
How do you kind of get the word out about girls wrestling, and how do you get more girls to join? Is it word of mouth, or do you go and try and recruit people, or how does that work?
So a lot of it's word of mouth. Try to talk to the weights class. This year we're going to send the 4 seniors are going to go down and talk to the middle school girls at both Berry and Platte City Middle School. I think that might help a little bit too, because there's a lot of girls who I think if they would give it a chance, they could have been really good, and just a little apprehension about getting out there. And I think if you talk to the ones who are wrestling, you'll see that's not near as scary, or the unknown is not as much as you think it is.
So how does this year, with the boys and girls, compare to our past years that we've had?
So right now, the girls, we've always qualified, the last 3 years we've qualified 2 girls for the state tournament. This year, getting another girl through, and, the team got 5th out of 50 teams at districts. It's kind of crazy to think that there's one bracket had almost 30 girls in a district tournament, and only 4 of them qualify for the state tournament. So next year, it'll break into 2 classes.
Okay.
So I think that'll give more opportunities for girls, and we'll get more girls out because they'll see the opportunities there. It's hard to get the state tournament right now when you got to get 4 out of 30 kids.
So do you expect Kaylin to hopefully get 1st or 2nd in state?
I expect Kaylin to go down there and compete for a state championship.
You do? Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're going to kind of move into the boys who are wrestling on Saturday for, correct, Saturday?
Yes, Friday and Saturday at Kearney High School. Yep.
Okay, so it's been kind of a long year. There's been some challenges that your team has went through. Can you kind of take us through some of the challenges you guys' team has went through this year?
I would say the biggest thing is we just haven't been able to stay healthy.
Okay, that was another question.
Oh my goodness gracious! It's the injuries have just mounted up, and we're just trying to get everybody back for districts, and we're still going to be without Looters at districts from his appendicitis. The recovery wasn't quick enough for him to be able to get back in, and we miss having him in the room and being there, and we've had concussion, shoulder issues. It's just ankle. It's been a long year on the injury side. I think maybe once or twice we've had the whole team together, but you know what? Found a way to keep fighting and competing the best we can, even without those pieces.
So how have the seniors kind of impacted the team? Because obviously you have more experienced guys like Eli and Jaden, but then you also got Trevor wrestling his first year.
I think the seniors have done a good job of trying to hold us together, and they've been in and out of the lineup, and figuring out. And obviously Trevor is his first year, and he's contributing. And this is probably his best week he's had of practice. I can see the improvements, and hopefully we can take that into the district tournament. But all those seniors, I think, they're ready to go to districts and see if they can get a shot at getting to the state tournament, and then see what can happen once we get down there.
What's kind of the difference in their leadership styles? Like, do you have a couple more vocal guys? Like in football, Jaden was really vocal leader, but do you have some guys that more lead by example?
I think it's all of them kind of lead by example in there, because I think you're breathing so hard that the vocalness doesn't always come out, but they can still be vocal, but it's mainly lead by example.
Okay. So you have a couple really young, good sophomores, Jake Fernandez and Caden Hewlett. What jumps and bounds have they made this year from last year, since they are both returning state qualifiers?
Well, I think they're competing at a higher level this year. Obviously, our schedule has been a ton tougher this year, so they've seen a lot tougher people. So I think that's going to help them as we get to the state series here. And just the maturity. Fernandez went up 2 or 3 weight classes, and he's still one of the top guys in the state. And I expect him to get on the medal stand, and Caden Hewlett to get on the medal stand.
So, what are your overall expectations for districts this year? I mean, individually and as a team.
Realistically, I'd like to get everybody through, but probably realistically, between 7 and 9 kids can get through and get to the state tournament. And Whitfield's super deep, so they're coming out of a district that doesn't have a lot of kids in it, and as deep as they are, it's going to be hard for anybody to overtake them. But I think we get down there and have a good performance, we can get a state trophy.
You do? Okay, so do you have any guys that are going to compete for a state championship? Like, as you said, Kalen.
Eli, Walls, Fernandez, Hewlett, they're all right there with the top guys. And then, Blaine's coming back from a medal last year. I can see him getting high in the stand, and he gets on a good roll. He get to the state final. So there's all kinds of guys that got a chance to get there if we get on a good roll.
So how does just the team chemistry in general impact their season? I mean, they spend a lot of time together. So.
They do spend a lot of time together. They're all good friends, and and I think it would have helped obviously if we could all been in the lineup together. That would have helped and all be able to train a little bit more together. But being good friends, they keep everybody loose and ready to go, and they want everybody to be successful.
So I'm obviously a basketball player, and our practices once the season started went less intense as we've kind of taken the gas off. We don't run as much. Yep. We don't scrimmage as much. We kind of go through a lot of plays, scout. And wrestling, do you guys continue to keep the level of intensity high?
So we try to keep the level of intensity high, just bring down the practice time. We're at about an hour 30 now.
Really?
And this week we probably back the intensity off a little bit just to get our legs underneath us for the tournament. And then, Monday next week will be a pretty tough practice with both boys and girls. And then we'll start tapering back down towards Thursday.
So obviously wrestling's a pretty, mentally exhausting sport, just with cutting and all the stuff like that. How do you keep the team just on top of it?
I think the other day we were kind of having one of those days where I could tell everybody was maybe kind of, tired, wore out, fatigued. So we started the day with a little dodgeball game there in the wrestling room, and that kind of got everybody's mind. And they don't know yet, but we'll probably start with a 5-minute one today too, just to have a little fun and just enjoy it a little bit.
That's good. So this has been a great conversation. We're going to move into our final 4. We're going to ask you 4 quick, simple questions to end the podcast. Not about wrestling, maybe they will be. Who's been the best wrestler that you have ever coached in your career, assistant or as the head coach?
Man, that's a hard question because there's been so many. If you could look at the banners, probably nationally, Jake Fisher made 2 Greco World teams. So that means he wrestled at Worlds for the United States at that weight class. So that's pretty hard to beat. In that sense, So internationally, that's probably where I would say. And if you went to folk style, I could stay here and name people all day long.
What is your favorite wrestling memory from when you were a wrestler?
From when I wrestled?
Yeah, back in the day.
It was probably winning the match at Iowa, at Carver Hawkeye Arena against the University of Iowa.
Really? So you have a tendency that many people don't know that you will sometimes wrestle students or your own wrestlers. Have you ever been beaten by one of your students or wrestlers?
I I would say I've been taken down by wrestlers before, but beaten by them, no.
You're still
And they're still,
champ.
and I don't wrestle as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to wrestle every day, all day long, but no, never been beaten in a match by them,
Right.
But as I get older, it might come.
One day.
Final question: what is your favorite barbecue place to eat at in Kansas City?
I would say Casey Joe's.
Casey Joe's.
Yes.
You can't beat that.
No, I'm a fan of a couple of others,
Jack
but
Stack.
I'm a big Casey Joe's fan.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us today, and great luck at districts tomorrow and Saturday, and we'll hope to move a bunch of guys to state.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.